anytime that hurry up and those guys, they all have their own little tweak or turn to it. But the key to all those things is you have to be in great condition first, like DeMarcus said. You have to give great formation recognition, keep great eye discipline. But everybody has a different twist to it. It's not just one standard offense. Dino's had great success with it wherever he's been. He's a heck of a football coach, and they've got very good players. They've got fast players, they've got athletic players. Quarterbacks can run and throw, and it's going to be a huge challenge. And we're going to have to get that recognition again and let our eyes get in the right position so we can let our talent play.
Coach, to your right, front row here.
Yes, sir.
Coach, to take a look at, where you're going here with the future and what you've been able to build on already, just what you can say about the quarterback situation and how, a couple of years ago you were in a different place, but what you see out of the talented guys, the 4 guys that you have right now that are working through the fall.
We're very happy with Sean. I mean, as we know, he came in and played great in the Syracuse game, which he came in, had a great Clemson game. It was a tough game. We lost it, but he played, did his part of it. Played at Florida and won. Played on a broken bone under his foot, basically an ankle on the whole thing in the bowl. Our guys have tremendous respect for him. Can make all the throws. A leader, means a lot. A very tough guy. Then you have our younger guys, Francois, who is very talented, makes all the throws. Had a great spring. Very happy with the spring game. The development he made, the progress he seems to be making during the summer from everything we're hearing. Very excited to see him and how he takes it from the spring into the fall camp, and what he's doing there. J.J. Constantino, we've seen play, had a good spring. And then Malik Henry, who came in one semester, and he really flashed and did some great things for the limited amount of knowledge he had going into the game, but this guy can play too. So we're in great shape. The future of the position looks really good, and we're anxious to see how those first few guys just battle in fall camp, see where we're at.
Coach, to your left, second row.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Jimbo, Chris Idell. How you doing?
Good, Chris. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Talk about the 3rd and 4th down for defense. Seems like last year the defense was on the field too many 3rd downs, too many 4th downs, too many extra plays. What do you guys have to do this year to stop having any extra plays?
Well, I think win first down. I think the first thing you want to do to be good on 3rd down is win first down, because you can put them in 3rd and long situations instead of 3rd and short and 3rd and medium. You usually come out on top more. And on offense, part of that too is we got to convert. Last year was one of the first years we didn't convert at a high rate as we normally do on offense. And the more plays you keep there, you keep your defense off the field. So I think that's always a huge emphasis for us. You hear me say it all the time. Red zone, 3rd down, turnovers are all big critical parts of the game that are very important. And we practice those a lot, and we're going to have to do a great job. But if you really want to win 3rd down, you got to do a great job on first down on defense, of making it 2nd long to get them in those situations, and then on offense, if you're successful on first down, it's hard not to get a first down. So I'm converting on that end of it. So it's something we have to work on, but I think hopefully the experience of what we have and where we're going, we'll be able to do that.
Coach, we're going to go to the camera stand, very back, bright shirt, might be yellow, not quite sure.
It's yellow. Mitch Brown, WTKR. Coach, I just wanted to ask you about, this is the 2nd year in a row that you got the top player out of Virginia. Also, the 2nd year in a row you got the top player out of Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads area. So can you just talk about what you like out of that area and, also about Josh's improvements going into the season?
First of all, that area to me is one of the top areas in this country. If you research it over time, the number of players and athletes that have come out of that Virginia Beach, Norfolk, that whole Hampton area, that whole area, whether you're not just talking about football players. I mean, Lawrence Taylor and Dwight Stevenson and all the way back. I mean, some of the greatest ones ever. You go into basketball, Alonzo Mourning and all the guys, Allen Iverson, and then baseball, the Upton brothers. I mean, it's every sport. That area has always been a highly productive area, and we've had some success, and I think our recent success probably started with E.J. Manuel. E.J. came down, was a highly ranked guy, and had a tremendous career. Was a first-round pick for us, one of the great quarterbacks in Florida State history. And I think a lot of people had a lot of respect for him, and we were winning, and that's a natural avenue for us as we go back that way to play. That's in the ACC territory, and we're having a lot of success. And, the guys we've got now there have been, Derek Noddy with us right now, Levante Taylor's in school, a great guy, and then Josh, of course, Josh is, I think, a very special guy. We weren't even thinking we were going to have him to play last year, and he came in and almost started every game, played all the snaps, and right now probably about 250 pounds and really running and strong, and I think he can be one of the elite players out there. I really do look for him to have a big year, and that area has always been productive, and it's in our realm of where we go play and recruit, and we're always going to try and be in there. And I tell you what, great coaching in that area, great player development, great competition. I think it's the history of the United States. Like I say, if you really look at it for athletes, that's been one of the top areas and can match up with anybody.
Coach, to your right, second row.
Yes, sir.
Coach, Jerry DePaul at Pittsburgh Tribune Review.
Okay.
there aren't many schools in the country that reach the status that you guys have reached, top 5, top 10 every year. When a school aspires to that level of achievement, what do they have to do to get there?
I think consistency, and I think it's not, everybody says, well, it's just about players. No, it's not. Players are, that's a key ingredient. But we have to build the culture of the university, to have consistency. And these player development is a person, and how these guys develop with community service, relationships, understanding their role, who they are, role models to young kids, all those types of things. The academic development, making sure they have success in school as far as giving them academic support, making these guys understand the importance of an education, all the things that go on. Because we so focus on the athletic part of it, if those kids aren't having success as people and as students, you don't play well as a player. That's just a fact. And people don't believe that all the time. I've been in coaching 27 years. The guys that develop as people and develop as students have success in other areas in which they never really thought were important or actually thought they could never have great success in. That's not everyone. It's amazing when they do those areas how they develop in ball. But I think it's a coach's responsibility, a school's responsibility to keep developing the culture, staying on the cutting edge of all the peripheral programs that help these kids with behavior issues, development issues, mental issues, I mean, all the things that go on out there to give them all the tools to hand to be successful. Because I'm going to tell you what, being an athlete today in the college game, I think is harder than it's ever been in the world because of the issues they face, the situations, the way things are done, the social media world, the ability to have campaign. Everyone knows what these kids do all the time. And the pressure for these guys to play so early in their careers, I think it's critical. And I think you have to provide all that leadership and guidance at an early age from the second they get there for them to get on the field. Because a lot of these guys are leaving when they're juniors. Used to be you never played, you're a redshirt junior. Now you're leaving when you're a junior. You know, somebody asked me the scenario, and I gave this comment. You had there's Charlie Ward, Jameis Winston, who's the greatest quarterback? You know, I said, well, here's a perspective. There is no answer to this. They're all great. But here was a perspective I put into them, and they never thought about it. And this is just from 1993 to 2013. When Jameis left in his career, that was the time Charlie Ward was just getting on the field. Why don't you think about that a minute? When Jameis left with what he accomplished, that was the time that Charlie was just starting on his career, and that's when it went with what he accomplished. Well, what's significant about that is maturity issues, guidance issues. Guys are being asked to do things at such an earlier age than they've ever done. And we want the expectations, we want the pressure, we're doing all that. So I think for schools to provide outlets and help these kids grow as people is the key ingredient to having consistency in your program, and it's your support system and the commitment of that university to do those things. And I think that's been a huge part of what we've been able to do, the programs we've had to be able to put in place.
Coach, to your left, first row.
Yes, sir.
Coach, this season you open up against Ole Miss. Next season you open up against Alabama, both neutral site games. How beneficial is it for the motivation of your football team, do you think those games are?
Well, I think they get your attention very quickly. Just like a couple years ago, we opened up with Oklahoma State, you know, coming out of the gate. Opened up a couple years ago with Pitt up in Pittsburgh. I mean, anytime you have a significant opponent you feel is a big-time opponent like that, your off-season, it's ramped up. It's just a natural instinct. Coaches don't have to say a word. Their kids know it. They know everything that goes on. They know the importance of the games. They know the competition. That's why these guys come here. I mean, they know how to compete. But it makes your off-season, in my opinion, so enhanced. You know what I mean? And it jump starts it so much quicker. And it's shown. I've been extremely pleased with our attitude and our work ethic through the summer. Our weight coach has been saying it's one of the best ones we've had in the last 4 or 5 years. And so I think it is. And you better, because if you're not, you get bit right off the bat. So it's going to be a great challenge.
Coach, very back of the room, camera stand, red
Yes,
shirt.
sir.
Zach Lover, WDBJ7. You guys, obviously, in Clemson as well, have been towards the top of the league for the last few years. Do you feel like the rest of the league is catching up? Is the gap closing at all?
Oh, I think it definitely has. I mean, us in Clemson have had great success. We've been in the game. We've been there 6 years. We've played in the championship game 4 out of 6 years. They've played the other 2. We've won a national championship. They've played for one. I mean, we're playing at a very high level, 2 of the elite programs. But we've had some success against Miami, but all those games have been nail biters, right down to 1 possession games. Right to the end. Georgia Tech upsets us last year and plays very good. Pitt and NC State, who always has a good. North Carolina is an onside kick away from having a chance to beat Clemson last year going into that. I mean, there's so many teams. Virginia Tech, when Frank was there, now they'll establish again, was one of the elite teams in college football for a long time there. I mean, this is a great league. And I've coached in the other leagues. I know what they are. This is great football, great players. And you name me a league has 3 bigger stars than Dalvin Cook, Deshaun Watson, and Brad Kaya? Name me a league that has 3 bigger stars than that right now when you talk about it. And there's other guys in our league that are great players. We have other great players. Miami has other great players. Clemson has other great players. So does Georgia Tech, NC State, all across the board. Everybody has them. Big running back James Conner coming back up at Pitt, thank God, and those things are all going so well. And I knew, and having him back in the league, and you're talking about the player of the year from 2 years ago. We have star-studded players, and this is a great league of football.
Coach, stay to your right, second row.
All right?
When you first came into the league, it was in a defensive phase. There was 1 year where there were, 6 first-round draft choices, all defensive players. Now, clearly, it's a real offensive phase. Tremendous numbers put up last year by everybody except against Boston College, which managed to slow people down. And 90% of the offensive stars are back, and you just said some names.
Mm-hmm.
How good are talk about the offense. What's this like to be?
There's a lot of dynamic players
Exactly.
now. There really are. But, it goes in cycles, offense, defense, but you still have to play great defense to win. But there's a lot of dynamic players that I say don't just get first downs, they change the numbers on the scoreboard. I mean, they can finish plays, and our guys as dynamic as anybody. Deshaun with his legs, with his arm, Brad Kaya throwing the football, moves around good. Connor, there's so many guys, so many speedy receivers. It is dynamic, and you got to have your A game on defense. Because the multiplicity of things, people say this all the time. It's much easier, as crazy as this sounds, to be a defense coordinator in pro football than it is in college football. Because first and second down in pro football is all about the same. Third down and creativity on the blitzes. And in college football, just in our league, all right, you play us, who's a traditional pro offense. Then you go play a wishbone, play Georgia Tech. Then you play no huddle at Clemson. Then you play North Carolina's no huddle. Then you go play Syracuse's no huddle. Then you go play, the diversity of how these offenses are and the multiplicity of things these kids have to learn and play, it's a huge disadvantage on defense because there's so many different things. So in pro football, your offenses are basically the same. And then you put those dynamic players out there in space, it's tough. And our defensive staff's going to have their hands full. And one of your goals on offense is to make sure you score your points and keep the ball away from the other guy. Like I was saying a minute ago, third down situations, making sure you're converting. And even if you get convert 2 third downs and don't score any points or kick a field goal, it's better than giving it back to them there. So it's tough on these coordinators.
Coach, to your left, second row.
Yes.
Jimbo, talk about Miami with Mark Richt coming down to South Florida. Talk about your battles with Mark Richt and what is he going to do to change Miami around?
Well, you have to ask Mark what he's going to do to change Miami around. I don't know what he's going to do, but I know this. Mark's won 146 games in 15 years, almost 10 games a year in a great conference. So Mark knows how to coach. He knows how to win. He was a great coordinator when he was at Florida State. Won a couple national titles while he was there. He's a great gentleman. He knows how to recruit. He lived in South Florida. He played in Miami, so he knows the area. And they've got good players now. They got a quarterback probably be a top 10 pick in the draft. They've got good skill guys. They've got players, and I think he'll do very well. And then Miami made a good hire.
Coach, your last question will come from the back of the room to the left.
All right. Yes, sir.
Jason Staples, NoDigest.com. Now, Coach, you've had a lot of success with different types of quarterbacks over the years, guys that bring a lot of different things to the table. What would you say are your non-negotiable fundamentals in terms of, and I'm asking sort of to get a little technical here, what would you consider the non-negotiable fundamentals, say above the waist and below? And then the second part of it, what do you look for when you're looking at high school quarterbacks and you're scouting them? What's your checklist? How do you actually process all this?
We've been fortunate to have some great ones, really have. And the guys are great pros, great college guys, and actually we had 3 first-round picks in a row and first pick of the draft. But, in quarterbacking, at the end of the day, they all have different strengths and weaknesses. You call the game different, you call different plays, different throws. But at the end of the day, quarterbacking gets down to 2 things. You can draw him. Does the guy have a great arm? Is he tough? Does he have leadership? Does he have footwork? Does he have balance? Does he make good decisions? Or he's throwing the football? Or is he checking off and handing it off to the right? His decision-making ability and his accuracy when he throws it. Everybody talks, he got this, he got a soft arm, he got a great arm, he can make this throw, he can make that throw. All right, does he hit what the heck he's throwing at? At the end of the day, we got all these intangibles. Now, footwork's impairment, toughness, leadership, we got all those intangibles. But if he can't make good decisions, he can't hit what he's throwing at, he can have all them other things he wants. It's not going to work. You know what I mean? And then at the end of the day, sometimes we complicate it so much at the end of the day, and then find ways of which they can do that. Find ways in which what they can do and what they do that. And then, again, when you're looking at a quarterback, there's a certain level of arm talent you got to have. Number one and first and foremost, it's got to be a certain level of arm talent he's got to have to be able to play at the next level. And that, in our level I'm talking about. And then we get back to the other things. You know, does he move his team? And the other thing is, you watch him on film, is he moving the ball? Because at the end of the day, what's a quarterback got to do? He's got to move the ball down the field. How you do it, whether you dink it, dunk it, do it the Joe Montana way, do it the John Elway way, do it the Tom Brady way, do it the Peyton Manning way, I don't know, do it the Brett Favre way. Does the ball move down the field? And do the guys around him respond to him? I mean, we complicate it so much, but there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, and those are key things. But when you're watching the arm talent, and then you get into the decision-making, the tough, the accuracy, and then you get into all the other intangibles. And I'm gonna say this, and it's hard to ever judge one. I don't care what you say. As a coach, people ask me, what do you think? I don't know, I ain't never coached him. Till you coach a guy, you don't know a guy. Because don't pretend like you know what he's looking at or what he should be doing. And it could be being told right, done wrong, or it could be backwards. It's hard to judge those guys till you ever coach them.